We have followed Pauline Hanson for a long time. Next year, can you believe, 30 years in and around Australian politics. She has been in the Senate for a significant period of time. Next election, it'll be her name on the ballot again. But at this election, many candidates running in many different seats. A better result than last time. But the headline is that her daughter, Lee Hanson, pretty close to a very competitive run against Jackie Lambie. We won't know for a few days, most likely even a couple of weeks, about what's going to happen, but the One Nation leader joins us now. Pauline, lovely to see you. Must be a sense of relief after an election is over, a chance to put your head down for a little while, but unlike previous elections, it's not just your name on the ballot in terms of the family. So how are you feeling after this one?
Look, Paul, I'm pleased with our vote. We've gone up just about in every seat across the country that we stood candidates in, so I'm very pleased with that. I'd just like to personally say thank you to everyone who voted for One Nation this election, and I appreciate all the help and volunteers that we got to help us. We didn't get to man every polling booth. It's extremely hard for a minor party, but the end result, you know, I can't say I'm not happy about it.
So give me an idea about this race in Tasmania. I saw James was on air a little bit earlier tonight, I think, with Peter, saying that, you know, this picture's really interesting and it's not just blowing smoke. This thing is very, very tight. It's all about what are called quotas and the percentage of a quota that is left over from the main sources of preferences. For One Nation, that's going to be Liberal preferences. For Lambie, it's going to be Labor preferences. So again, you're not going to say she's going to win or lose, but what's your thought on what's happening here?
Well, I think she's in with the chance, Paul, as you said, with preferences, and of course the Libs have got about 1.52% of the quota now, system that they have. So therefore, those preferences will be distributed. Labor at this stage has got just over 2.5 quotas, and of course the Libs are at about 1.5 quotas, and therefore the Greens have taken a 1. So if you look at the seats, there's still another one there, and one up that's up for grabs if you think that Libs do get the second one. I think that a lot of the people I'd say, and I work the booth down there in the heart of Hobart, that about 70 to 80% of the people never even took how to vote cards, weren't interested, walked past, everyone had an idea how they were going to vote. And another thing about it, Paul, is that they vote differently below the line down in Tasmania, so most of them will vote, a lot will vote below the line. Also, you've got to think that although Labor gave Jackie Lambie the second preference, a lot of people didn't take the how to vote cards. But there's a big issue about the salmon industry in Tasmania. Now, the salmon industry employs about 5,000 people, and there's another few companies indirectly associated with it as well. So you've got a lot of workers there. She's come out against the salmon industry, so has the Greens. So if they go to vote on the Labor ticket and who support the salmon industry, do you think they're going to give Lambie the second preference? I doubt it. So it's going to be quite interesting even to see about Labor's preferences if they have to be distributed.
How do you think Albo's going to be with a bigger number and presumably many more years in front of him as Prime Minister?
Look, I don't think he'll walk away from his policies. I think that this has given him a mandate, possibly not to cut back the immigration levels. He'll keep powering ahead with the renewables. Just even down at Singleton, people are crying out. They're out in arms about 177,000 panels that are going to go on prime agricultural land. As you spoke earlier about the wind turbines, there's nothing to stop him now whatsoever. And if they get control in the Senate with the Greens, they'll just do whatever they want to. I think the Libs had a very, very poor campaign. I had people constantly asking me about Dutton. I like Dutton. I think he's a very good man. He would have been a great Prime Minister for the country, but it wasn't to be. He couldn't win the people over. And their election campaign was ridiculous. They never fought back at all. And he should have stood his ground about those public servants and said, you know, well, once they leave the work, we won't be replacing them. He could have handled it that way. He backed away from a lot of it. He didn't put up strong policies about, you know, tax cuts. If he had put up what we said about the split income splitting, or the pensioners working, that would have been more beneficial to him.
So as a person who has stood their ground for 30 years, again, you want a strong Liberal Party because that matters in terms of preferences and in terms of an opposition to Labor. But just for all of those political types that are watching us right now, what is the Pauline Hanson advice when all the media is screaming at you, when all the interest groups are pushing back, when all of the lovies are saying, oh, what a detestable thing to say?
What, about what I said about Dutton? Or about
No, I'm
what?
just saying about holding your ground. About what's your advice to politicians, who say, we'll get an advisor saying, oh, you can't say that, that's going to piss off this group. Oh, the polls are telling us this, the polls are telling us that. How do they get a bit of Pauline in their spine to say, no, I believe it, it's what I believe, and I'll argue it until the day we're done?
That's what people want, Paul. I hear it all the time. What do I hear from people all the time? You've got the guts to say what we're thinking. People want honest politicians. Don't tell us one thing and do another thing on the floor of Parliament. Don't see whichever way the polls are coming out before you actually make a decision. I was the first to come out against the Voice, and I was proven right. First to come out against having the COVID jab. Again, the evidence that's coming out now, people shouldn't have been forced to have it. A lot of these things I fight based on my inner gut and knowing how the Australian people think, because I'm one of them. I haven't lost my grassroots contact with people. And I wish the politicians, a lot of these ones, have no connection with employing people or understanding running the business, nothing.
Well, and one of the things that disappoints me the most about the result is the Labor Party's attitude was basically very anti-small business. Anyway, I've got to go. We're out of time, but there's plenty more chats